For today's video, I really just wanted to sit down and have like a heart-to-heart chat. I used to do big sis advice videos all the time on my channel, and I really miss that. I really miss connecting with you all in that way. I think the relationship that I have to the internet is much different now than it has been in past years. You know, I value my privacy a lot more. I don't share as much of my personal life online, but there are certain things that I really love to open up about because I really feel like it helps all of us connect to one another better and understand one another, and hopefully hearing this may resonate with someone. I love being a fashion channel and a body confidence channel and what have you, but I really do miss this aspect of filming videos, you know, just sitting down, nothing fancy or frilly, just kind of chatting about whatever's on my mind. So I do have a lot on my mind, as always. And like the main thing that I kind of, it's just been an epiphany that I've had recently is that I am 33 years old and I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with my life. No clue. It's been something that I've really noticed a lot of people talking about too, so I feel like no matter what your age is, you're probably experiencing this on some level, but I do notice that the older I get, the more stressful it becomes, because I think that there's this expectation placed on women in society where at a certain age, you're supposed to have this checklist of things done, this sort of unspoken checklist: engaged, married, babies, buy a house, etc., etc., in no particular order, and I have done none of those things. So it does sometimes feel a little bit daunting and a little bit intimidating when those comments come in that are like, when are you gonna buy a house? It's time to buy a house. Where are you gonna live? When are you and your partner gonna get married? When are you gonna start having babies? When, you know, all of these different things, and you're just like, I'm just trying to like make it through a pandemic and like be a good person, try to get through this week of deadlines and meetings and phone calls, and like somehow still have a little bit of time for family and relationships and friendships and whatnot. So there's just a lot. It's a lot to, oh my God, this plane. Do you mind? I have a lot to say about this topic, but before I get started, I want to say a big thanks to BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. Is there something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? For me, I know personally, I have recently been diagnosed with ADHD. I don't know if I've talked about that on this channel, actually. Or I guess re-diagnosed as an adult, and I've been trying out medication, and it's something that I'm really trying to make work because my ADHD has really kind of gotten in the way of getting my daily tasks done, staying on top of everything that I'm supposed to do as a human being, answering all of my texts, replying to all my emails, making it to my appointments on time, not forgetting people's birthdays, you know, all of these things that kind of come along with it. And I mean, a lot of this is just like trying to balance being an adult as well. And a lot of times the stress of not being able to accomplish those things or not having checked off all the things on my to-do list that day stresses me out further and then makes it worse. BetterHelp will assess your needs and then match you with your own licensed professional therapist, and you can start communicating with them within 48 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it is professional counseling done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 15,000 plus counselor network, which may not always be available in local areas, which I think is amazing that they have. The service is available for clients worldwide, and you can log in anytime and message your counselor. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone sessions, and you don't have to wait in a waiting room. You can just do it online from the comfort of your own home. I love that aspect of it. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, so if for some reason you don't match with your therapist, they make it super easy and free to change counselors if needed. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and financial aid is available. Visit betterhelp.com/Carrie, that's betterhelp.com/Carrie, to join the over 1 million people who are taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. And as a special offer to those of you watching this video, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Carrie. Thank you so much to them again for sponsoring, and let's jump back in. The first thing that's sort of been on my mind the most, and something that I actually get pretty frequent questions about, and also a lot of, not hate about, but just people who don't really understand, is like me moving a lot, right? I have moved quite often in my life, and in fact, growing up, I think I went to like 9 different schools from kindergarten to like my senior year of high school. Like there was just, it was a lot. We were kind of always moving. I was very used to being the new kid. I changed schools many times, and so moving became something that was just very normal for me me. There were definitely phases in my life where I didn't move for years at a time, but in my adult life, when I first turned 18 and moved out of the house, I think I sort of adapted that and I started doing that in my adult life. So even though I wasn't living with a family anymore, I was doing that on my own, and I moved back and forth to Arizona, back to Tennessee, which are my 2 home states in case you're wondering, so many times, and I felt so like confused because I would just like run away from my problems in one place and then I would move to the next place and then things would go wrong or my problems would follow me and then I'd move away again. That's something that I've really struggled with in the last few years, especially being, you know, in my 30s now. Most people my age aren't really moving every year, and to me it just feels normal and happy. Like, it's not because I feel like this chaos and unsettledness or whatever. I just genuinely like enjoy moving. It's always really fun for me. I enjoy decorating a new space. I enjoy new scenery and like new experiences and being in new places. And so a lot of times when I move a lot, people are like, whoa, like what the heck? Because I think it's expected of you to sort of like pick a place, stay there, probably end up, you know, buying a place and living there for like the rest of your life. And that's just, it's never gonna be me. I don't think I'm ever gonna like stop wanting to step outside of my comfort zone. And I do think I have roots in places, but I also don't think that you really need that. Like, that's not something that everyone needs. I think for some people who grow up and are born and raised and live in that same town for their whole life, I think that's awesome. I think that's amazing. I actually envy that, to be honest. But for those of us who kind of just fly by the seat of their pants and, you know, want to feel pushed outside of that comfort zone, try and experience new places and people and things, then I think that that's awesomely valid as well. But I will say, as a result, obviously, you know, moving a lot has its ups and downs. I've had a stressful couple of years when it comes to moving. The place that I'm living right now is great. No complaints, really. It's honestly like the perfect situation. Is it in the area that we want to live in? No, not exactly. But like, no complaints there. However, the previous couple of places that we've lived have been pretty gnarly. And if you watch my vlog channel, you probably know a little bit more about that. But our place that we lived in from, I want to say like December 2018 to like August or September of 2019 was infested with rats, and they would be screaming, they'd be eating through the walls, they'd be ramming into the vents. Like, it was not a good time. So they ended up letting us out of our lease there, and then we moved to LA. And that was really exciting because it was like something that we had been talking about doing for years. I had personally been talking about doing it for like 4 or 5 years before I did it. We were so excited, and we got settled into this adorable place in this really cute neighborhood, and then we had some neighbors move in, and it was sort of like a 18 to 22-year-old like fraternity sorority situation. I documented it a little bit on this channel. I filmed a story time about it, and then I also have like an entire series about it on my blog channel, so if you're interested, I'll link that stuff down below. But it really affected us. It really affected our mental health. It was during the pandemic. We couldn't go anywhere. It's not like we could just like leave the house and go hang out with friends. It was like everyone was in lockdown, so it was pretty miserable. They weren't following any kind of social distancing guidelines whatsoever. They were holding their little like super spreader parties every weekend. It was awful. It was just truly awful. There was no peace. So we ended up leaving that place like 2 months before our lease was up and just paying the last 2 months for it to just sit there empty because we could not take it anymore. They wouldn't let us out of our lease. We could have taken them to court, but courts weren't open because of COVID at the time, and also it would have just been incredibly expensive, like lawyer-wise. So we decided to just cut our losses and dip. That was messed up, first of all, because it got cut short, and also we got entirely robbed of our experience of living in Los Angeles. Number one, because there was a pandemic, and number two, because of these awful neighbors. And so for the last year and some change that we've lived here in this house, we have gone back and forth about where we want to live and what we want to do, and it truly changes by the week. And when I tell you by the week, I literally mean by the week. Like, last week we were fully planning like, okay, when the lease is up here in December, we're gonna move back to LA, we're gonna like start looking for jobs for him out there, etc. And then like as of yesterday, we were like, well, maybe we'll actually not do that. Maybe we'll like think of another method. We'll stay here, but maybe get a place there, and yada yada. And I wish that I had some sort of answer. Here's the path that you're supposed to be taking to do all of the right things, and you'll, you know, have all of this peace and clarity that comes afterwards. And I just don't think that that's real life. I think in reality, what life is you just make a decision and then you stick with it. you just choose to love that decision instead of being like, well, what if I did this and what if I did that? I have talked quite a bit on this channel over the years about how I don't feel particularly drawn to the idea of having children. It used to be like a hard no, and now it's sort of like a maybe but probably no. And I don't know if that's just changing because I'm getting older and I feel like my time is running out, which no, it's not. Or if it's like societal pressure, if I'm tired of people asking me about it, or if I'm just growing up and maybe I am like warming up to the idea more. But again, going with that, I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. It's like, I don't know where I'm gonna live. I don't really know what I'm gonna do like main decisions wise in my life, like having kids, getting married, buying a house. And then on top of that, the other most important thing is career. And you know, most people my age that I'm friends with are professionals in one way or another. They're lawyers, or they work in the medical field, or they work in the financial world, or they have a master's degree and they work this super amazing professional corporate job. And I feel so behind when it comes to that. You know, I didn't have a great home situation growing up. It was pretty toxic and pretty abusive. And so I really struggled in school as a result. I also was dealing with ADHD, so that made it difficult to focus and just care about school at all. I had no desire to like further my education. And so that makes me feel like I missed out in a way. Like there's a lot of people who have these college experiences and they've gone to these really incredible schools and they've really like grown as a person in college, and I truly don't think college was for me, and I think that that's the case for a lot of people. You don't have to go to college to be successful in life, obviously, but I think sometimes I get like intimidated by extremely educated people who have had this higher education and have had this experience, and in a lot of ways that experience has kind of like guided them into the next chapter of their lives. So whether that be like they got an internship and then it put them onto the career that they're gonna have for the rest of their life, or it taught them a lot of skills when it comes to professionalism or networking or social skills or whatever it may be. Sometimes I feel behind in that way, and I think the best thing that you can do in any situation, no matter who you are, is to not compare yourself to others, obviously. And I do think that I'm pretty good at that for the most part, but I do also think that sometimes societal pressure really does get to you. It really makes you think like, damn, I should really be doing X, Y, and Z, and then it can feed into that, like, what in the actual hell am I doing with my life? And so now here I am at 33 years old. I was a waitress until I was like 29, and I decided I was gonna start making YouTube videos on the side because I enjoyed watching those so much, and then by the sweet gods of the algorithm was able to do it full time, and now here I am, and I am not by any means taking this job for granted at all whatsoever. There are definitely pros and cons to this job, and I think a lot of comments, like very personal comments about you and what you decide to do with your life and your career, and a lot of questions about like, what are you gonna do after YouTube, or like get a real job or whatever. You know, sometimes those things get to you, and so you tend to unintentionally fall into that comparison and fall into like, oh, well, that's what this person's doing with their life, so maybe I should look into doing that. Or this person just seems to have it all together. Like, oh, that person just has it all. They're married, they have babies, they bought a house, they have a career, they're doing all of the right things. And honestly, like, I just kind of want to be the poster child for not that. Like, I just want the takeaway message from this to be like, you don't have to know what you're doing with your life. I mean, my dad's 68 years old and he's still doing music and he's still like traveling the country, I mean, safely at the moment, like doing what he loves, and he's never fallen into the like trap of, oh, you have to do this and that and you have to be this level of professional. And I really do take a lot of inspiration from my dad, and I think because I am half of him, I definitely have inherited a lot of that energy, and that just kind of like, life is about being rich in experiences and not money. Traveling is growth, and living in different places is growth, and meeting new people is growth. I think some people who just want to have that like career goal and be successful are so fucking valid. But I also think that people who just want to like vibe and like have a good time and meet cool people along the way and maybe move around a lot and experience new things and places and people, then that's also equally cool. And I'm just being honest about the fact that, yeah, like sometimes being in this career, you know, being a older person on YouTube. Even in life, 33 is not old at all. It's actually very young, but somehow on YouTube, everyone's 12. So, you know, being 33 is like literally being a grandma. I once had, this is not a joke, I once had a professional in the management world on YouTube when I first was looking into getting a YouTube manager, which by the way, I have an entire story time about. I was told by a recruiter for this management company, which at the time I want to say I was like 25 or 26 maybe. He told me I'm literally not kidding. That like, yeah, they were interested in looking into working with me with this management company, but to just warn me, I was basically 107 in YouTube years. He was like, you're old. So I was like, cool, thanks. I don't actually believe that's true, but I think a lot of times being an older person on YouTube or someone who's in their 30s instead of like, you know, 20 to 23, that's like the typical age, I feel like. But being in my 30s and being on YouTube, it is interesting to see the things that are expected of me and see the sort of like unintentional pressure that's placed on me to do certain things, and I'm just here to let you know I'm not gonna do that. You don't have to have it figured out. You don't have to know what you're doing with your life. You can just like go through life and be a good person. You don't have to have a grand plan. You don't have to have this like checklist of things that you have to accomplish by certain ages. I might mess around in like in my 40s try to become an actress. I don't know. Who knows? I might try to become a famous singer in my 50s. And all I know, the only thing I know for certain is I only know how to be Carrie Dayton. I don't know how to be anyone else. I don't know how to inherit someone else's plan or path. So all I'm gonna do is just keep being me because I'm pretty good at it so far. And if you wanna like, you know, hang out along that journey and ride along with me, that's cool. And if you don't, that's cool too. And if you're watching this, and no matter what age you are, honestly, no matter what age you are, but especially if you're watching this as someone in their 30s or 40s or 50s and you still feel like you have no idea what you're doing with your life, you are not alone. I've really been getting more into the idea of chatting about these personal life topics, but involving you all in it and just kind of like doing it to relate as a community and have us all uplift and support each other and connect and know that we're not alone. So if you have experiences like that you want to mention in the comments, let me know. I've been thinking about maybe doing topics on like the mental health aspect of my job, maybe doing topics like losing friendships in your 30s or just throughout life in general. So let me know if you want to see more of those. I would really love to do more kind of like sit down chatty videos. This has been really, really nice. And I feel a lot better, honestly. Like I feel like, yeah, bitch, listen to your own advice. And if you're watching this and you needed to hear this today, you are doing a great job. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. You can also subscribe to my channel or turn on my post notifications if you want to be notified every time I post a new video. And yeah, just thank you for being here on your internet journey today. Thank you for clicking on this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. None of that made sense, I don't think. Any of that. Okay, good. Bye.